Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the stars through the big window. The ship was called Horizon's Edge, and it was flying through space, far from Earth. Jake had been the captain for 5 years now, and he loved his job. His crew trusted him, and he always made sure they stayed safe during their missions. Today they were doing something simple. They had to map new star systems that nobody had seen before. The computer would scan each planet and take pictures. Then, they would send all the information back to Earth. It was not exciting work, but it was important. Earth needed to know what was out there in the dark space. Jake walked over to his second-in-command. Her name was Amy Collins, and she was also the ship's doctor. Amy was looking at her screen with a worried face. She had found something strange, and Jake could tell she was not happy about it. "Captain, you need to see this," Amy said. She pointed at her screen. "We picked up a signal from the third planet in this system. It looks like a distress call." Jake looked at the screen. The planet was brown and gray, with thick clouds around it. The air was full of poison, and there were dangerous animals everywhere. No human could live there without special protection, but the signal was definitely real. Someone or something was asking for help. "How long has the signal been going?" Jake asked. "About 6 hours," Amy replied. "But it's getting weaker. Whatever is down there might not have much time left." Jake thought about what to do. Their mission was to map planets, not to rescue anyone. Earth had given them clear orders to avoid dangerous situations. If they went down to that planet, they might all die. But Jake could not ignore someone who needed help. The other crew members came to the bridge when they heard about the signal. There was Ben Hayes, the weapons officer, and Lisa Park, who controlled the engines. They all looked worried when they saw the planet on the screen. "That place will kill us," Ben said. "The air is poison and the animals are huge. We should call for help and let someone else handle this. By the time help arrives, whoever sent that signal will be dead," Jake replied. He studied the planet more carefully. "Amy, can you tell what kind of signal it is?" Amy worked on her computer for a few minutes. Then her eyes got very wide. "Captain, this is not human technology. The signal is using a pattern I have never seen before. This is definitely alien." The bridge became very quiet. In all their years of space travel, humans had never found real aliens. There were theories and guesses, but no proof. If there was really an alien down on that dangerous planet, it would change everything. Jake made his decision quickly. "Get the shuttle ready. I'm going down there." "Captain, no," Amy said. "You cannot go alone. That planet will kill you in minutes." "Then, come with me," Jake said. "We have protective suits and weapons. We can handle it." Ben shook his head. "This is crazy. We should follow orders and stay away from dangerous planets. What if this is a trap?" Jake understood their fear, but he could not leave someone to die. It did not matter if they were human or alien. The right thing to do was to help. He had always believed that helping others was more important than following rules. "I'm not ordering anyone to come with me," Jake said, "but I am going down there. If there is someone alive on that planet, I will not abandon them." Amy sighed and started getting the medical equipment ready. She knew Jake well enough to know he would not change his mind. Ben and Lisa also started preparing for the dangerous mission. They did not want their captain to go alone. An hour later, Jake was flying the small shuttle toward the planet. The protective suit felt heavy and hot, but it would keep him alive in the poison air. Amy sat next to him, checking her medical tools. Ben and Lisa stayed on the main ship to watch for danger. As they got closer to the planet, Jake could see the crashed ship. It was not like any human ship he had ever seen. The metal was silver and seemed to glow with its own light. Strange symbols covered the outside, and there were no windows that he could see. "The signal is coming from inside that ship," Amy said, "but I'm reading very strange energy patterns." This technology is way beyond anything we have. Jake landed the shuttle near the crashed ship. When he stepped outside, he could hear dangerous animals making noise in the distance. The ground was covered with sharp rocks and poisonous plants. Everything about this place wanted to kill them. They walked carefully to the alien ship and found an opening in the side. Jake turned on his light and looked inside. The walls were covered with crystals that glowed softly. There were no chairs or controls that looked familiar. Everything was smooth and curved. Deep inside the ship, they found her. She was trapped inside a large crystal that was cracked and losing its light. Jake had never seen anything like her before. She looked like she was made of pure energy, but she had a shape that was almost human. Her light was getting weaker, and Jake knew she was dying. "My God," Amy whispered. "She's beautiful." The alien woman seemed to sense they were there. Her light got a little brighter, and Jake could feel something in his mind. Not words, but feelings. She was scared and in pain. She needed help, and she needed it now. Jake knew this was the most important moment of his life. He had found the first alien that humans had ever met, and she was dying. Whatever he did next would change everything. Jake stared at the dying alien woman, trapped in the crystal. Her light was getting weaker every minute, and he knew they did not have much time. Amy was scanning the crystal with her medical tools, but the readings made no sense. This was technology, far beyond anything humans had ever seen. "Captain, I can't understand how this works," Amy said. "She seems to be made of pure energy, but the crystal is like a body for her. Without it, she would just disappear." Jake walked around the crystal, looking for any way to help. The cracks were getting bigger, and strange liquid was leaking out. Whatever that liquid was, it was keeping the alien alive. But there was not much left. The alien woman's light pulsed again, and Jake felt something in his mind. This time, it was clearer. She was trying to communicate with him. He could sense her desperation and fear. She was showing him images of her people, her home, and what had happened to her ship. Her name was Lyra, and she came from a race called the Etherians. They were beings of pure energy who lived in crystal bodies. Lyra had been traveling through space to study other forms of life when her ship was attacked by space pirates. She crashed on this planet and had been trapped here for days. But there was more. Jake could see in her memories that Lyra was not just any Etherian. She was a scientist who had been working on something incredible. She had found a way to connect energy beings like herself with organic life forms like humans. Her research could change everything about how different species understood each other. "Amy, we need to get her back to the ship," Jake said. "Can we move the crystal?" Amy shook her head. "It's too damaged. If we try to move it, she'll die for sure. And even if we could move it, I don't know how to fix it. This is completely alien technology." Jake felt frustrated. He had found the most important discovery in human history, and there was nothing he could do to save her. But then Lyra sent him another image. She showed him the inside of the crystal and what needed to be repaired. The problem was that fixing it would require someone to go inside the crystal itself. "She's showing me how to fix it," Jake said. "But someone has to go inside that crystal and work on the damaged parts from the inside." Amy looked at him with horror. "Jake, no. The radiation inside that crystal would kill you in minutes. Even with our best protective suit, you wouldn't survive." Jake studied the crystal more carefully. He could see the damaged sections that needed repair. It would take at least an hour of work to fix everything. No human could survive that much radiation exposure. But if he did not try, Lyra would die. "What if we rigged up extra shielding?" Jake asked. "Maybe we could protect me long enough to do the repairs. Even with extra shielding, you would have maybe a 10% chance of survival," Amy said. "This is suicide, Jake. We need to find another way." But Jake could see in Lyra's memories that there was no other way. The crystal had to be repaired from the inside, and it had to be done soon. Every minute they waited, More of the life-giving liquid leaked out. Jake made contact with his ship. Ben's voice came through the radio clearly. "Captain, how are things down there?" "We found her, Ben. She's an alien scientist and she's dying. I need you to send down the emergency medical kit and all the radiation shielding we have." "Radiation shielding? Captain, what are you planning?" Jake explained the situation to his crew. He told them about Lyra and what she had shown him. He explained that saving her meant exposing himself to deadly radiation. The silence on the radio lasted for a long time. Finally, Ben spoke. "Captain, you can't do this. We won't let you kill yourself for a stranger." "She's not just a stranger," Jake replied. "She's the first alien we've ever met. Her knowledge could help humanity in ways we can't even imagine. I have to try." Amy grabbed Jake's arm. "Listen to me. Even if you somehow survive the radiation, we don't know if your repairs will work. You could die for nothing." Jake looked at Lyra again. Her light was so dim now that he could barely see her. In his mind, he could feel her sadness. She knew she was going to die, and she was sorry that her research would die with her. All the knowledge she had gained about connecting different forms of life would be lost forever. But Jake also sensed something else. Lyra was grateful that someone had tried to help her. In all her years of studying other species, she had never met anyone who would risk their life for a complete stranger. She was amazed by this human quality of helping others even when it cost everything. "I'm going to do it," Jake said. "Amy, start setting up the radiation shielding. Ben, send down everything we have." "Captain, please reconsider," Amy begged. "There has to be another way." Jake knew there was no other way. He had always believed that doing the right thing was more important than being safe. His whole life, he had put others before himself. This was just the biggest test of that belief. As Amy reluctantly prepared the equipment, Jake tried to communicate more with Lyra. He wanted her to know that humans were willing to help, no matter the cost. He wanted her to understand that her life had value to him. Lyra's response surprised him. She was not just grateful for his help, she was studying him. Even as she was dying, she was learning about human nature. She had never encountered a species that would sacrifice everything for others. This was exactly the kind of connection between species that her research was trying to achieve. "The equipment is ready," Amy said sadly. "But Jake, I'm begging you not to do this. We can find another way." Jake put on the extra radiation shielding and checked his tools. He looked at Amy and saw tears in her eyes. He looked at the radio and knew Ben and Lisa were listening. These people were his family and he might never see them again. "If I don't make it out," Jake said, "make sure Earth knows about Lyra and her people. Tell them that aliens are real and that they wanted to help us." Jake walked toward the crystal. The radiation detector on his suit started beeping faster as he got closer. Soon it would be screaming. But Jake had made his choice. He was going to save Lyra or die trying. Jake stepped into the crystal and immediately felt the radiation burning through his protective suit. The radiation detector was screaming now, but he turned it off. He did not want to know how badly he was being hurt. He just focused on the work he had to do. Inside the crystal, everything glowed with soft blue light. Jake could see the damage clearly now. Several important connections had been broken when the crystal cracked. He had to reconnect them carefully, or Lyra would die. His hands were already shaking from the radiation, but he forced himself to stay steady. Lyra's energy form was floating near him, and he could feel her presence in his mind more strongly than before. She was trying to guide him, showing him exactly what to fix and how to do it. Even though she was dying, she was using her last strength to help him save her. "The first connection is behind you." Amy's voice came through the radio. She was watching his vital signs and Jake could hear the worry in her voice. "Jake, your radiation exposure is already at dangerous levels. You need to work faster." Jake found the first broken connection and started working on it. The tools felt heavy in his hands, and his vision was getting blurry. The radiation was attacking his body at the cellular level. He knew he was dying, but he kept working. As he repaired each connection, Lyra's light got a little brighter. Jake could feel her gratitude flowing through his mind, but he could also feel something else. Lyra was sharing her memories with him, showing him her entire life. He saw her home world, her family, and her years of research. She was giving him all her knowledge because she knew he was sacrificing his life for her. Second connection is to your left, Jake whispered to himself. His throat was burning from the radiation, but he kept going. Through Lyra's memories, he was learning incredible things about her people. The Etherians had technologies that could help humanity explore the galaxy safely. They had medicine that could cure diseases humans had never solved. They had ways of traveling between stars that were faster than anything humans had imagined. Jake's legs gave out and he fell to his knees inside the crystal. The radiation was shutting down his nervous system, but he kept working with his hands. He could hear Amy calling his name through the radio, but her voice sounded far away. Third connection, Jake mumbled. His fingers found the broken part, and he started the delicate repair work. Lyra's energy surrounded him now, and he realized she was trying to share her pain with him. She did not want him to suffer alone. Through their mental connection, Jake could feel Lyra's amazement at what he was doing. In all her studies of different species, she had never found anyone willing to die for a complete stranger. She was learning that humans had something special that even advanced aliens did not possess. They had the ability to love others more than themselves. Jake, get out of there now, Ben's voice came through the radio. Your vital signs are critical. You're going to die if you stay in there any longer. But Jake could not leave yet. There was one more connection to repair, and it was the most important one. Without it, all his work would be meaningless. He crawled across the floor of the crystal, leaving drops of blood behind him. His protective suit was failing, and he could taste metal in his mouth. As Jake worked on the final connection, Lyra showed him something that changed everything. She revealed that she was not just any scientist. She was the most important researcher among her people. Her work on connecting different forms of life had taken her entire lifetime to develop. If she died, centuries of research would be lost, forever. But more than that, Lyra showed Jake that her people had been watching humans for a long time. The Etherians had been waiting for proof that humans were ready to join the greater community of intelligent species in the galaxy. Jake's willingness to die for her was exactly the proof they had been looking for. Final connection is complete, Jake said weakly. He had finished the repairs, but he could not move anymore. The radiation had destroyed too much of his body. He lay on the floor of the crystal and watched as Lyra's light grew bright and strong again. Jake felt a moment of happiness. He had saved her. His sacrifice had worked. But then the reality hit him. He was going to die far from Earth, far from his family and friends. He would never see the stars again, or command another ship. Amy's voice was crying through the radio. Jake, the crystal is stable now. You did it. But you need to get out of there right now. We can still save you if you move. Jake tried to stand up, but his body would not obey him anymore. The radiation had damaged his spinal cord, and he could not feel his legs. He was trapped inside the crystal just like Lyra had been. The difference was that he was dying, and she was now healthy and strong. But then something incredible happened. Lyra's energy form came closer to Jake and surrounded him with her light. Through their mental connection, she spoke to him clearly for the first time. Her voice was beautiful and filled with sadness. Jake Morrison of Earth, Lyra said inside his mind, you have given me the greatest gift anyone has ever given. You traded your life for mine without asking for anything in return. This is something my people have never seen before. Jake felt peaceful as Lyra's energy flowed around him. The pain from the radiation was fading, and he could think clearly again. He was still dying, but at least he could talk to her. I could not let you die, Jake replied through their mental link. It would have been wrong to leave you here alone, Lyra. Light pulsed with emotion. My people have a tradition. When someone saves our life through great sacrifice, we owe them a debt that can never be repaid. But there is something I can do for you, Jake Morrison. Something that has never been tried before. Jake felt curious despite his pain. What do you mean? I can share my life energy with you, Lyra explained. I can merge my essence with yours and save you from death. But if I do this, we will be connected forever. Your life will become part of mine, and mine will become part of yours. Jake thought about what she was offering. It sounded impossible, but everything about this day had been impossible. What would happen to me? You would become something new, Lyra said. Neither fully human nor fully Etherean. You would have abilities no human has ever possessed, but you would also be changed in ways I cannot predict. Jake knew he was about to die anyway. If Lyra could save him, maybe he could help bridge the gap between humans and her people. Maybe his sacrifice could become something even more meaningful. Do it, Jake whispered. Save us both. The moment Jake agreed to the merging, Lyra's energy flowed into his dying body like liquid light. The pain was beyond anything he had ever experienced. Every cell in his body felt like it was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. Jake screamed, but no sound came out. His entire existence was being rewritten. Amy heard strange sounds coming from inside the crystal, and her medical readings went crazy. Jake's vital signs were jumping all over the place. One moment it looked like he was dead. The next moment his heart was beating faster than humanly possible. What's happening in there? Amy shouted into her radio. Jake, can you hear me? Inside the crystal, Jake felt his consciousness expanding in ways he could not understand. Lyra's memories were becoming his memories. Her knowledge was becoming his knowledge. But more than that, he could suddenly perceive energy patterns that were invisible before. He could see the electrical currents running through the crystal walls. He could sense the power flowing through his own body. The radiation damage to his cells was being repaired, but not in a human way. Lyra's energy was rebuilding him with improvements that no human had ever possessed. His brain was forming new connections that allowed him to process information at incredible speeds. His nervous system was being enhanced to handle energy flows. That would have killed him before. I can feel everything, Jake whispered. His voice sounded different now, deeper, and with a strange harmonic quality. Amy, I can feel the electrical signals in your radio. I can sense the power systems on our ship. Amy could barely believe what she was hearing. Jake, your vital signs are impossible. According to my readings, you should be dead, but you're somehow stronger than you've ever been. Jake slowly stood up inside the crystal. His body felt different, lighter, but also more solid. When he looked at his hands, he could see energy patterns flowing just beneath his skin. The radiation that had been killing him was now being absorbed and converted into something useful. Lyra's energy form was still connected to him, but she looked different too. The merging had changed her as well. She was no longer just pure energy. She had gained some human qualities that she had never possessed before. She could feel emotions more deeply and understand organic life in ways that had been impossible for her people. The merging is complete, Lyra said, and Jake could hear her voice both in his mind and through his ears. We are no longer separate beings. We are something new. Jake walked toward the opening of the crystal, and Amy gasped when she saw him. His eyes were glowing with soft blue light, the same color as Lyra's energy. His movements were perfectly coordinated and graceful. But most shocking of all, the radiation readings around him showed 0. His body was somehow neutralizing the deadly energy that filled the crystal. Jake, is that really you? Amy asked. Yes, but I'm also more than I was before, Jake replied. He could see Amy's vital signs through her protective suit. He could sense her fear and amazement, but he could also feel her relief that he was alive. Lyra saved my life, but the process changed both of us. Jake stepped out of the crystal and immediately noticed that his perception of the world had expanded dramatically. He could see energy signatures from all the living creatures on the planet. He could sense the power flow from their shuttle and the main ship in orbit. Most incredible of all, he could interface directly with electronic systems just by thinking about them. Amy, call Ben and tell him to prepare the medical bay, Jake said. But also tell him that I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. As Amy made the call, Jake experimented with his new abilities. He touched the side of the alien ship and instantly understood how it worked. The technology was no longer foreign to him. Through Lyra's shared knowledge, he could see how Etherian crystal technology could be combined with human engineering to create ships that were faster and more efficient than anything either species had built alone. Jake, Ben is asking what happened to you, Amy said. How do I explain this? Jake looked at Lyra, who was now visible to Amy as well. Her energy form had stabilized and she could maintain a physical presence outside of the crystal. The merging had given her the ability to exist in the real world without being trapped in a containment device. Tell him that we made first contact, Jake said, and that first contact changed everything. During the shuttle ride back to the main ship, Jake discovered more of his new capabilities. He could communicate directly with the shuttle's computer systems, improving their efficiency and speed. He could sense Amy's emotional state and even influence it slightly to help her stay calm. Most remarkably, he found that he could understand languages and communication methods that he had never learned before. Lyra explained that the merging had given him access to the collective knowledge of her people. Thousands of years of scientific advancement, cultural development, and exploration were now part of his consciousness. But it was not overwhelming because his human brain had been enhanced to process this vast amount of information. Your people have something mine have always lacked, Lyra told him as they approached the main ship. You have the ability to make connections with others that transcend logic and self-interest. My people are advanced, but we have never learned to truly sacrifice for strangers. Jake understood what she meant. The Etherians were incredibly intelligent and technologically advanced, but they had always been individualistic. They helped their own people, but rarely risked themselves for others. Humans, despite being less advanced, had qualities that even ancient alien civilizations could learn from. When they docked with the main ship, Ben and Lisa were waiting nervously. They had heard Amy's reports, but nothing could have prepared them for seeing Jake walk off the shuttle with glowing eyes and an alien companion made of pure energy. Captain, Ben said carefully, you look different. Jake smiled and Ben immediately felt more relaxed. Jake's new empathic abilities allowed him to project calm and confidence to his crew members. I am different, Ben, but I'm still your captain, and I'm still committed to keeping all of you safe. Jake gathered his crew in the main conference room and explained everything that had happened. He told them about Lyra's people, the merging process, and what it meant for humanity's future. He demonstrated his new abilities by interfacing directly with the ship's computer and upgrading their navigation systems in real time. The knowledge I've gained from Lyra will allow us to advance human technology by centuries, Jake explained. But more than that, her people have been watching us. They've been waiting to see if we're ready to join a larger community of intelligent species. Lisa asked the question they were all thinking. Are we ready? Jake looked at each of his crew members. These people had been willing to risk their lives to help him save a complete stranger. They had followed him into danger without hesitation because they believed in doing the right thing. I think we've proven that we are, Jake said. Humanity may not be the most advanced species in the galaxy, but we have something special. We have the ability to care about others more than ourselves. That's exactly what the galaxy needs. Lyra's energy form pulsed with agreement. Through the merging, she had gained human empathy, and now she understood why her people had been watching Earth so carefully. Humans had the potential to bring together different species in ways that had never been possible before. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He was no longer just a ship captain exploring unknown systems. He had become a bridge between two very different forms of life. The decisions he made now would affect the future of both species. 3 days after the merging, Jake was still discovering new abilities. He could now communicate directly with any electronic system on the ship, making repairs and improvements that would have taken his crew weeks to complete. But the most amazing discovery came when Lyra showed him how to access something called the Etherian Collective. My people share knowledge through an energy network that connects our entire civilization, Lyra explained as they stood together on the bridge. Through our merging, you now have access to this network. You can learn from thousands of Etherian scientists, explorers, and philosophers. Jake closed his eyes and reached out with his enhanced consciousness. Suddenly, his mind was flooded with information from across the galaxy. He could see star maps of regions that humans had never explored. He could access scientific theories that were thousands of years ahead of Earth's knowledge. Most importantly, he could see the locations of other intelligent species that humanity had never encountered. This is incredible, Jake said, opening his glowing eyes. Lyra, your people have been in contact with dozens of other civilizations. There's an entire community of advanced species out there. Amy, Ben, and Lisa watched in amazement as Jake began drawing diagrams and equations on the ship's display screens. The knowledge flowing through him was beyond anything any human had ever possessed. He was showing them technologies for faster-than-light travel, energy sources that could power entire planets, and medical techniques that could extend human life by centuries. Captain, how are you processing all this information? Ben asked. Your brain should be overloaded. The merging changed my brain structure, Jake explained. I can now think in ways that combine human intuition with Etherian logic processing. It's like having the best of both species in one mind. But as Jake explored more of the Etherian Collective, he discovered something that changed everything. His sacrifice had not just saved Lyra's life. It had proven to the entire Etherian civilization that humans were ready for something extraordinary. Jake, you need to understand what you've really accomplished, Lyra said. Her energy form was pulsing with excitement. For centuries, my people have been watching different species, looking for ones that might be worthy of joining the Galactic Collective. Most species fail the test because they are too focused on their own survival and advancement. Jake felt a chill of anticipation. What test? The willingness to sacrifice everything for someone you've never met, Lyra replied. Most species, when they encounter a dying alien, will either ignore them or try to use them for their own benefit. You risked your life to save me without asking for anything in return. That proves humanity has the moral foundation needed to join the community of advanced species. The implications hit Jake like a physical blow. His crew stared at him as they realized what this meant. Humanity was being invited to join an intergalactic civilization. Earth would no longer be alone in the universe. How many species are part of this collective? Lisa asked. Jake accessed the network, and his eyes widened. 47 different civilizations spanning 12 galaxies. Some are energy beings like the Etherians. Others are organic like humans. Some are machine intelligences that evolved from artificial systems. They've been working together for over 10,000 years. Amy sat down heavily in her chair, and they want humans to join them. Not just join them, Jake said, his voice filled with wonder. Lead them. The collective has been looking for a species that could serve as mediators between very different forms of life. Humans have the unique ability to empathize with others and make sacrifices for strangers. That makes us perfect candidates to help resolve conflicts between species that think in completely different ways. Jake began receiving direct communications from Etherian leaders who had been monitoring the situation. Through the network, they were expressing amazement at what he had done. In 10,000 years of observation, they had never seen a species member risk certain death for an unknown alien. "They're offering to send a delegation to Earth," Jake told his crew. "They want to make formal contact with human leadership and begin the process of bringing us into the collective." Ben looked worried. "Captain, are we ready for something this big? Joining an intergalactic civilization will change everything about human society." Jake considered the question carefully. Through his connection to the Ethereum network, he could see exactly what joining the collective would mean. Humanity would gain access to technologies that would solve every major problem Earth faced. Disease would become curable. Energy would become unlimited. Travel between stars would become as easy as flying between cities. But there would also be responsibilities. As mediators, humans would be expected to help resolve conflicts between species that had been fighting for centuries. They would need to learn to think not just about Earth's needs, but about the needs of dozens of different civilizations. "I think we're as ready as we'll ever be," Jake said finally. "And besides, we've already proven ourselves. The collective wouldn't be making this offer if they didn't believe we could handle it." Jake activated the ship's communication system and prepared to send a message back to Earth. This would be the most important message in human history. He was about to tell his species that they were no longer alone in the universe. "Earth Command, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Horizon's Edge," he began. "I am reporting successful first contact with an alien species called the Ethereans. But that's not the most important news I have to share." Jake paused, looking at his crew and at Lyra's glowing form. These people had trusted him when he made the impossible choice to risk everything for a stranger. Now he was about to change the course of human civilization forever. "The alien species I encountered has extended an invitation for humanity to join an intergalactic community of 47 advanced civilizations. This invitation is being offered because of humanity's demonstrated willingness to sacrifice for others. We have been chosen not just as members, but as leaders and mediators for this community." Jake went on to explain the technologies and knowledge that would be shared with humanity. He described the responsibilities they would need to accept and the incredible opportunities that lay ahead. Most importantly, he explained that this was happening because one human chose to risk everything to save one alien life. "The greatest strength of our species is not our technology or our intelligence," Jake concluded. "It's our ability to care about others more than ourselves. That quality has just earned us a place among the stars that we never could have imagined." As Jake ended the transmission, he felt Lyra's presence in his mind. She was sharing his sense of wonder and anticipation. Through their connection, he could sense the excitement of Etherean leaders as they prepared for humanity's introduction to the collective. "What happens now?" Amy asked. Jake looked out at the stars, but now he could see them differently. Through the Ethereum network, he could identify which systems contained friendly civilizations, and which ones held wonders that humans had never dreamed of. "Now we go home," Jake said, "and we help our species prepare for the greatest adventure in human history." The Horizon's Edge turned toward Earth, carrying the crew that had witnessed humanity's first steps into a larger universe. Jake Morrison, forever changed by his choice to risk everything for a stranger, would soon help guide his species into a future among the stars. In his glowing eyes, the light of two civilizations now burned together, proof that sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most impossible choices.